und herzlich willkommen in Köln. EUniWell's story began in November of 2019 in Cologne. 7 universities came together with a vision to maximize the cooperation between our universities so that one day it would feel like we are not just part of University of Cologne anymore, but of EUniWell.
Goedemorgen vanuit Leiden. In Leiden, 75 of our students from all 7 universities came together to come up with an idea of what EUniWell could be for us. An open, inclusive and diverse network of students. A place to build friendships all over Europe, or a platform to empower students and foster networks and opportunities that would help with our future career options.
Good morning from Florence. Ciao a tutti da Firenze. EUniWell for us is a place to foster innovative teaching and learning ideas, such as the digitalization of universities. Little did we know that this would become our main method of learning and communication. Through this new experience, we have not only learned to adapt as students, but also realized that EUniWell's ideas are relevant to all parts of society.
Hi everyone, hello from Birmingham. In February, we met in Birmingham where we came up with our international student participation. After 2 long days, we knew that we wanted to work together on the European level in a board where everyone has an equal voice and the chance to adjust the topics that we wanted to work on for EUniWell.
Sziasztok! Üdvözlünk mindenkit Budapestről, innen a 8. kerületből, az Elméleti Orvostudományi Központ épületéből.
With the COVID-19 pandemic, well-being and digitalization has become the forefront at our universities. Tackling mental and physical health has been our priority and gained even more of a priority due to the current situation.
We aim at establishing research, divine and innovative collaborations among EUni members to be a pioneer regarding open science and data exchange.
Hej och välkomna till Växjö, Sverige och Linnéuniversitetet. We seek to be a diverse and inclusive student group that promotes race and equality. To do that, we recently started a project that aims at finding out the colonial history of our cities and our universities, and want this to be accessible in all 7 languages.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, je suis ici à Nantes et je vous souhaite la bienvenue à EUniWell. With EUniWell having such a diverse and welcome student board, one of the aims is to collaborate at an international level and to travel to 7 universities to discuss future projects and exchange ideas. We create possibilities as well on the local level, where everybody can participate in their own language using EUniWell resources. So, if you're interested in joining the adventure, or if you want to contribute as EUniWell students, please feel free to join us.
Good morning and welcome to our student board launch. Firstly, I would like to welcome all of you warmly and thank you for attending. Today we are launching the student board, and many of you might ask themselves, what is the student board? Who are we? Who are those people sitting here? Well, what happened was that in February of this year, when we were still allowed to travel and travel restrictions weren't in place yet, a lot of us actually met at the University of Birmingham, and we formed the student board, which is a board that consists of 15 students in total, 2 students from each university and 1 student officer. And the student board works closely with the executive board, which is one of the highest decision-making bodies within EUniWell. And we have students represented in that board as well. I am Judith, and I will guide you through today's session. I'm the Chief Student Officer within EUniWell. I was elected in February when we were in Birmingham, and I hold a bachelor's degree in international relations, and currently I study law at the University of Cologne. For further proceedings for today, it might be really interesting to you that after our Q&A session here, you will have the chance to ask some questions directly to us. You can ask them in the chat and we make sure that they are going to be answered. So now I ask everybody to briefly introduce yourself, starting with Birmingham.
Hi, I am Samia. I am a recent law graduate at the University of Birmingham.
Hey, I'm Jonas. I'm 25 years old and a medical student from Cologne.
Hi, I am Marco. I am from Florence and I study mathematics.
Hi, my name is Fenna. I'm from Leiden University and I study law.
Hello, my name is Rebecca and I'm from Linnaeus University and I studied international relations.
Hi, I'm Theo. I'm a sports student and I'm studying in Nantes University.
Hi, I'm Sloan. I'm a dentistry student and I'm studying at Semmelweis University in Budapest.
Thank you to all of you. Now we are going into the question part, and the first question goes to Samia. And we know that EUniWell is shaped around well-being. And my question to you is, what does well-being mean to you?
So well-being is defined as being a state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. To me, it means being able to live and work comfortably, knowing that I have recourse to support when overcoming difficulties. Our core mission at EUniWell is to understand, improve, measure, and rebalance the well-being of individuals, our own community, and society as a whole, based on our joint values. At EUniWell, we want to empower cutting-edge research, education, and training, and interact closely with society to enhance global and regional well-being in social, environmental, economic, and cultural terms. We also wish to promote internal well-being for each student and member of staff, each educational program, each disciplinary field and department, each campus, and for the university as a whole. Promoting well-being as a core role in education helps individuals flourish in their education journey whilst building resilience against adversity.
Thank you so much, Samia. Jonas, I was wondering, what do you think the European University of the future could look like? Maybe EUniWell in 10 years?
Thank you for the question, Judith. I would like to look at this from the perspective of maybe first year student. So in my vision, you don't enroll yourself anymore to like University of Birmingham or University of Cologne in some program. You can study there, but you think, okay, this program is part of EUniWell, and I will enroll in it. And maybe I start my studies where I live. Like for me, it would be Cologne, but I'm really sure I will be at 3 or 5 or 4 different places all over Europe during my studies. And there would be a certain common feeling between those universities. And so I would like study in EUniWell. And maybe we could even get to the point that when we think, okay, which program will I choose? So for example, I'm a medical student, and right now I'm thinking about, okay, where do I want to study medicine? In Germany, for example, I could more think about, okay, which extracurricular university concept fits me better? So do I want to study in EUniWell and take a year abroad in another aliens in Europe, or do I want to study in another consortium? So that we really could get to the point where the best ideas of all over Europe can be really be in touch and really easy to access for everyone, for every student in Europe.
Thank you, Jonas. Marco, we heard a little in the video in the very beginning about the student participation, but I was wondering if you could further explain the story of our student participation in the student board.
Of course, I think that all began at Leiden in the beginning of February of this year, where we have met and we have known each other for the first time. At Leiden, we started to think about the project we wanted to create and about what well-being mean for us. At Leiden, we started and Leiden was design challenge where we have proposed 15 ideas that were evaluated by the commission, and in the end we have chosen 3 of them, the 3 of them that we liked the most. Then we have had another meeting in the end of February at Birmingham, where we have started to organize our student panel. We should have had another meeting at April, maybe at Nantes, but unfortunately, as you know, COVID struck Europe in the beginning of March, and so everything became more difficult for us, but for everybody else. And it was a very dark period for everybody, I think. And it was very strange to think and to imagine a project based on the union of a lot of people, a lot of countries, where when you were stuck in your house, you couldn't see your friends and your and other students. It was very strange, but we held on and we continued to work on this project using internet. And so after countless Zoom meetings, we have arrived today. We are very proud of ourselves and of the people who worked in this project during these difficult months.
Thank you, Marco. Yes, I agree. I think we should all be very proud. Let's go back to the beginning then. You talked about Leiden. So Fenna, the next question goes to you. And my question is, what do you think, how will students be able to benefit from EUniWell, our European University Alliance?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a really interesting and also really important question. I think students can benefit in several ways. Firstly, you should get involved because it's just really, really nice to be involved in an alliance that has not only students, but staff and higher ups within the university that you can talk with, that you can network with, that you can make friends with. And that's really, really fun. But you should also get involved because health and well-being is something that matters to every single one of us, especially now during COVID. A lot of students are struggling to find a good balance, for example, between their home and their work life. And it's really important that these things also get put through to the universities. And next to that, it's really, really interesting and nice to be involved at a European level, and also see how policy gets made, talk with people about how their universities do things. And I think a lot of us can learn many things from each other. And I think that's a really, really nice experience.
Thank you, Fenna. At this point, I just want to briefly remind you that if you have a question, make sure you ask them in the chat and we will maybe have the time to answer 1 or 2 of them. But now we continue with Rebecca and Linnaeus. You were just also part of the other session where the steering committee introduced themselves. And my question is, why do you think it is important to include students?
So I think it's important that the consortium is a student inclusive, since the student perspective is very important on all levels. And it is the students that makes everything a university should be. And diversity and inclusion are key to working with the greatest challenges of our time. And we have to collaborate across all levels to be able to explore our capabilities and skills. And by being able to collaborate across the different boundaries and international borders, it can empower and inspire students to become more driven and open-minded, which will not only help strengthen the consortium, the relationships we have, the collaborations, but also support the students in their future careers by opening up new spaces for dialogue, learning, and responsibility. So I think it's important to remember that the students are the leaders, doers, teachers, researchers, and supporters of our future. So the better we support our upcoming generation, the better we can all benefit from this.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Theo, the next question goes to Nantes. Do you have any examples of future projects that are planned on the student level of EUniWell?
Yes, of course, I have plenty. EUniWell could be an accelerator of diverse projects, especially ones linked to well-being, of course. For example, we can imagine 3 or more student local associations building together projects aiming to reinforce the place of physical activities in the campuses. Maybe it could start with different sharing experience session in each university, exchange time between students, between professors, and be closed by the production of recommendation to the entire panel of EUniWell universities. We want to support all kinds of projects linked with sustainable development goals, health, solidarities, etc., to permit exchanges, projects, and of course, exchanges of best initiatives and best practices. Within EUniWell, EUniWell collaboration, we can imagine responding to Erasmus Plus projects, partnerships to make fantastic project grow. In other words, all is possible. So let's imagine new projects, and soon I'm sure that will be organized.
Oh, thank you, Theo. And the last question goes to Sloan from Budapest. Sloan, what do you think? How can other universities benefit from creating a European consortium?
Thank you for your question. So I believe that universities can benefit greatly from creating a European consortium in order to draw on the tremendous knowledge base developed by students. Encouraging the exchange of information from students with diverse backgrounds and experiences enables universities and students to better understand challenges facing international students. Creating opportunities for discussion is important to share this collective knowledge. As students representing every corner of the world, specializing in a wide range of fields, this forum would allow us the opportunity to strengthen relationships between the respective universities and establish a unit on several levels. Working together, we can enhance the learning experience, create new ideas, and face future challenges with the benefit of diverse points of views and experiences. This will allow us to create a better and more diverse and more inclusive future.
Thank you very much. We do have some time to take questions from the audience, so feel free to share any questions you might have. I do have one question here. The question comes from Semmelweis University, how students can take benefits from EUniWell. I think we have touched upon this. I think Fenna, that question went originally to you, so maybe you can further elaborate that, maybe especially having the current pandemic in mind, because you also touched upon that. That might be very interesting.
Yeah, so the question was, how can students benefit from EUniWell? And again, I think there are several ways that you can benefit. Firstly, you can benefit from the program being implemented at your university or the alliance being at your university, because, for example, the best practices seminar, when universities talk about how to deal with student well-being, how to handle someone who might have some disabilities that they need special aid for, how we can accommodate different kinds of students with different needs, that is all really, really good. And when your university gets involved and they know how to do these things and they learn from other universities, this will definitely be implemented, and it will make a real difference in the way that your university sees not only your student well-being or staff well-being, but just well-being as a social definition as well. And then you can also benefit from the consortium by getting involved and getting those kind of experiences out of the consortium. In later stages, we were thinking about maybe doing exchange programs, dual degrees, masters with nomadic campuses, those kind of things. And that is definitely something that students can benefit from, as well as staff, definitely.
Thank you, Fenna. We have one question on how students can actually contribute and what the structures there are. So maybe Rebecca, you want to talk about local participation a little more?
Yes, so as a student board, we are 2 representatives from each university. However, we also have a local student committee. Every university has one where they can organize in the way that they so choose. So everyone organizes themselves differently. But if you're a student at your university that wants to engage and be part of this project, you can just search and be part of EUniWell from the local committee and then maybe be elected to the student board. And we have elections in different ways. So if you're interested, I should recommend you to contact your local student committee.
And if I
Thank
might
you,
add,
Rebecca. Yeah, sure, Jonas, go
so
ahead.
just in case you don't know who to contact at your local university, you can also contact us as a student board, for example, via Judith as Chief Student Officer. Her email address is cso@euniwell.eu, or you can contact us via Instagram, for example. We also have an Instagram account, and we can easily redirect you to your local committee.
Thank you, Jonas. Also, this will be posted afterwards. We have one very, very important and interesting question from the audience, which is directed to Samia. How will EUniWell implement strategies to ensure diversity and inclusion?
Building on...
Samia, you were muted in the beginning.
Building on what Sloan and Rebecca had mentioned about having and including diverse backgrounds, EUniWell has positioned itself against anti-Black racism and all other forms of racial and cultural discrimination. It is important that we critically reflect upon our policies and practices and consider unconscious biases and systemic racism in order to tackle the underrepresentation of ethnic minorities within our staff and students. To that effect, we are currently developing an initiative to decolonize the curriculum in relation to well-being and its importance within the community, and hope this will help challenge the narrative. Inclusion and diversity is also a permanent fixture on the agenda of the student board, and we are all encouraged to discuss and share our progress.
Thank you so much, Samia. One question I was wondering was the role of languages within the student body and the student board in general. As we know, we are 7 different universities. We all have different language backgrounds. And what's your opinion on that? How do you feel about that? Maybe Sloan, you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. So I think with the being from all different parts of the world and being at different universities across Europe, I think it's really beneficial that we all have like the same, we're all speaking in English and we're all communicating in English in a professional manner. And this helps us to all understand each other and also have different points of views. And just, I think it's a good way to communicate through that, especially with social media these days too, especially with the pandemic. It allows us to connect with each other through different platforms. So it's going to really benefit us for the future.
Thank you, Sloan. Another question that came up was regarding the role of PhD students and how PhD students can be involved. Maybe Jonas, you want to explain?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's really an interesting question because the role of PhD students is really differently in the different universities. So at this point, I would really recommend you to get in touch with the Young Researcher session, which is later on. It's in the afternoon, I think, today. And just decide for yourself if you want to contribute with your local student committee, which is totally fine at this point, and really open for everyone, also PhD students, or if you really want to focus more on the research aspect, which would better fit into the Young Researchers group, which I'm not really sure, but I think is yet starting. So just decide for yourself. You're really welcome with us.
Thank you, Jonas. One question that was interesting, I thought, but we touched upon this already, but maybe to further elaborate is what EUniWell can do for students, especially during this pandemic. And I don't know, maybe Theo, you want to answer to that?
Yes. Oh, I'm not studying medicine, so I won't take so much responsibility, but like sharing ideas, sharing experiences. I mean, maybe in Nantes we have some special action to empower students, to help them to live with the pandemic. Maybe you have a lockdown in your own country, maybe not. Maybe we can help each other with the good practices we made in each of our university. So by talking, by exchanging, and just sharing our best practices to resist this pandemic.
Thank you so much, Theo. And I think, Rebecca, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I also think it's important that we connect to each other during these times when we have our Zoom calls, and we can share our different experience and we can talk to each other, and that's very helpful. And I think that's very valuable.
Yes, I totally agree. One question that also came up was why you originally decided to take part in your local student EUniWell board, and how it comes that you're now part of the international student board. Fenna, I see you smiling. Maybe you want to share your story, or...
Yeah, sure. So before EUniWell, I'd already been involved with the university in some ways. I've been like a student promoter and all those kind of things, because I really like Leiden University and I really want to also get other people to be like super excited about these kind of projects. And then at a certain point I heard of EUniWell, and well-being was something that really interests me, and I think it's also something that as a student I need to speak out about. And so I went to the first student board meeting in Leiden, and I was like super excited about meeting all these new students from different departments. And then eventually they needed people to go to Birmingham. I was like, okay, I'll go. I'm super excited to meet European students and talk about these kind of things that we all find really important. And so I attended the Birmingham meeting, and I was just convinced that I needed to stay involved. And then eventually that's how I also became the student representative of Leiden, or one of the student representative of Leiden in the EUniWell European Student Board. So yeah, that's basically my origin story. I don't know if anyone else has a different one, probably, but that's it.
Thank you so much, Fenna. And when looking at the time, I see that we have 2 more minutes left. So I think we should wrap it up here. We do have the questions saved, and all of this is also recorded, and you'll be able to look at it later on again. But to briefly summarize us, we are the student board. We are from all 7 different universities, and we get together approximately once a month via Zoom, because we have to. It is planned that once the pandemic is over, we visit each other. We were supposed to go to Sweden in summer, which we were really sad about that it couldn't take place, but we hope to do that once we can. Yeah, and we worked hard to include students in the consortium, and we are really satisfied with the situation we have right now. And we are really happy with the situation that students' voices are actually being heard. We are represented in the highest decision-making bodies of the consortium, and we really know that we can change something, and we have a voice here. And next up today, we have the second seed funding call launch, which is really interesting. And the well-being from an academic perspective, you can find all the links online, where you found this link as well. In order to get connected to us, make sure you check with your university to find your local contact. We are always happy to have new faces within our local structure. And some universities have even planned a local launch day today, later on. So make sure you get in touch with your local student ambassadors. And we're really happy to see many of you in the future. And I guess that's it for today. So have a good day. Bye-bye.